You must have heard a lot about the richest people in the world. But do you know a person who was the richest person in human history? In the year 1280, a child is born in a country in West Africa, Mali. Today, the screams of this child were going to change in the voice of this king, who was going to become the richest man in history. So rich that even if all the wealth of the richest people in the world is collected, his wealth was still more than all of them. The name of this child was Mansa Musa. In Mali, Mansa means king, and this child was going to become the king of Mali. He was actually the son of the king of Mali, Pagali, and that's why he was going to hold the royal throne. But some narrators also consider him the minister of Mali's king, Abu Bakr Keita, and that's why he was also made the king. But no one has ever been able to know the truth with certainty. Today's video is the story of Musa Mansa. Musa Mansa, who was the richest man in history. In the year 1312, Abu Bakr came up with the idea to expand his empire further. He prepared an army and sent 300 ships to the Atlantic Sea. That if there is a place on the other side of the Atlantic Sea, then it should be occupied. But this army had been there for a long time and no news of anyone came. The 300 ships that had gone did not return. After a long time, suddenly one day a ship comes back. The condition of that ship was very bad. When asked why the condition was so bad, he said that a very big sea storm came and that storm destroyed everything. And all the army and ships that had gone, they all drowned in that storm. And that ship somehow survived it. Hearing this, the Sultan was very disappointed that he could not do anything. But despite all this, he was adamant on his decision. He had to go across the sea and occupy it. This time the Sultan himself decided to go there. But before going there, he had given a very important responsibility to Moses. And that responsibility was to take care of the government of Mali. That too with full authority. After that, he left with an army of 3,000 ships. A lot of time passed, but Sultan Abu Bakr never returned. No one knows what happened to him. Everyone had given up hope of his return after a while. Now Musa was ruling over Mali, and Mali was progressing more than before. And this progress was the result of Musa's hard work and planning. As soon as Musa took over the government, he first thought of increasing the country's revenue, how to bring money into the country. Then he took control of gold and salt. There was a lot of gold and salt in Mali, and thus the country's revenue reached the heights of the sky. For gold and salt, he started attacking such areas where there was a lot of gold and salt, in which the Bumba gold mine was very famous, where gold is still mined. In addition to this, he also occupied Ijil, Olo, and Tagaza, from where salt and coal used to come out in large quantities. With that, a lot of money began to come into his national treasure, and his country began to develop. After that, the Mali government was taken over from the Atlantic Ocean to Nigeria, and from there to Sub-Sahara to the forest of Equatorial Africa. At that time, the king and the king would occupy such power. Most of Musa's population was Muslim, but apart from Muslims, there were many other people who had nothing to do with the religion of Islam. One of them, whose name was Bumbuk Miners, he rebelled against the religion of Islam because Musa was a Muslim, and he thought his religion was in danger from Musa's government. But Musa was very powerful, and he had a very large army. Musa had gained control of this rebellion with the help of his army, but Musa did not kill them, because he wanted to take all the people of all religions with him. The official religion of Musa's country was Islam, but the people of other religions were allowed to live their lives according to their beliefs. That's why people of all religions considered him their king. Not only Mali, but all the areas and countries around Mali also considered him their king. That's why Mali had become very strong, and Mali had no danger from any country around. Mali had no danger from any country. That's why Musa paid more attention to strengthen his country's development and economy. He made his country's economy very strong. He installed a tax system in the country. Mali mostly had 3 things because of which his economy was very strong, and that was gold, salt, and coal. Mali is still the 13th most gold-producing country in the world, and Mali was also making more gold than Europe and the Middle East. Not all the ears of Mali were owned by Musa, but he had put a tax on all the gold coming out of Mali, and the tax was so high that the entire Mali was only running on tax. That's why Musa never needed to capture those ears. Musa had hidden those ears from the world. Minor communities used to sell their gold to the middlemen of Sudan, and they used to buy the necessary things from them. And these Sudanese used to buy those necessary things from a foreign trader instead of gold. That's why no one could find out about these mines. The Mali government used to get a lot more tax than salt and coal. At that time, salt was mostly used to keep food safe. That's why the price of salt used to be very high at that time. Musa had put a heavy tax on the trade of these things. These were the things because of which Musa was living a very rich life. Musa's wealth was seen when he traveled 9,600 kilometers to Hajj. In 1324, Musa left for Hajj. He was not alone on this journey. There was a very large caravan with him. The caravan was so big that no one could even imagine 60,000 people were included in this caravan, of which 12,000 were only slaves. Their job was to pick up the boxes full of gold. In addition to that, there were 8 camels on which only gold was needed. All this gold was only for charity. This was about 20,000 kilos of gold that was to be distributed among the poor. He kept distributing gold among the needy all the way. And wherever his caravan would stop and stay, he would definitely build a mosque there. Musa's second wife had a problem in a place on the way to the desert, so he immediately ordered to build an irrigation system there. He distributed 20,000 gold bricks everywhere in Cairo, Mecca, and Medina. He distributed so much gold that the gold market suddenly crashed in the Middle East, and there was hyperinflation there. Musa Musa had become the richest man in history. He had so much wealth that it was difficult to guess. But after the death of Musa, Mali's advisor and minister were involved in corruption. And because of Mali's alloy areas, they were separated. And this powerful financial government came to an end